Good morning. So, this is going to be a longer message. And it's about when your life starts to fall apart. Okay. So, we had the new moon in Gemini a couple of days ago. And this is about like a whole new life. And if you look at the moons that we've had since since March, okay? I'm going to talk about since March. The dog is barking at the thunder. So back in March, we had the full moon, the judgment moon, the pink moon. And that moon encouraged us to look at the relationships that we had in our life and to determine whether or not there was balance. Okay. And if you've meditated under that moon and you discovered that there wasn't really balance in your life, like I did, it was encouragement to make a change. And so if we look at, okay, well, my relationships were out of balance, so I decided I was going to leave. And then we look at the next full moon, which was the full moon in Scorpio. And that full moon encouraged us to release that which no longer served us and basically plant new seeds. Okay. And now the new moon in Gemini, which was only a couple of weeks later, it's time for those seeds to bloom. Okay. So every cycle of the moon, we should be living our life by the cycles of God. This is the way we're supposed to be living. And when we start doing like on a new moon, the new moon is when it's the darkest, right? When the shadows are basically unseen. And as we go through the moon cycle, the moon gets brighter and brighter and brighter until it's full, right? And then the full moon allows us to see the shadows a little clearer. Now, it's not like the sun, but when you are looking at the shadows in the light of the full moon, it's more tolerable, if you will. So the shadows in the daylight are stark, very, very stark, and we can see them very clearly. But usually during this daylight, we're not really paying attention to the shadows, we're paying attention to the light. It's in the moonlight that we can see them, and it's gentler, so we can handle that which we see, okay? So we go through the cycle with not being able to see what's going on in the new moon. It's a fresh start. We've cleared out everything from the previous moon. So we start with a fresh slate, and then when we get on, we analyze our life until the full moon. And then the full moon shows us what shadows are still in our life, okay? And then the next 2 weeks till the new moon, we are to be spending that time taking care of the shadows in our life, okay? So what do I mean by taking care of the shadows in our life? This is the opportunity that we have every single time we recognize that there is a shadow in our life. We have the opportunity to transmute that shadow energy, okay? I love shadow work. So this is what we're going to talk about this morning, is shadow work. How do you transmute those shadows so that you can turn them into your superpower? So let us talk about a shadow like, how about jealousy? Okay. If you have jealousy as a shadow, not necessarily like in relationship, but like let's say you spend a lot of time on social media and you have a particular person that you follow that has like the perfect life, okay? And you're kind of jealous and you wish that you had that in your life, okay? This is the perfect opportunity to look at this shadow and transmute it, okay? So the first thing that we need to do is identify the shadow. So you're scrolling through social media and this person has like another picture that you're like, ugh, they're doing it again. Okay. And you recognize, excuse me, that it causes you an uncomfortable feeling in your stomach, okay? And you want to like reach through the screen and like slap the person or something. Like something about it just makes you upset. So you have to identify, why are you feeling that quote unquote negative emotion? I don't really like to call it a negative emotion, and more along the lines of like an uncomfortable feeling. Okay. So when you're feeling that uncomfortable feeling, identify it. Okay. So stop what you're doing, and in that moment, check in with yourself and say, okay, why am I feeling this? And then you identify that it's because you're jealous, because this person has everything that you want in your life, but your life just isn't doing that. Okay? There's a reason. There is a perfectly good reason, 555, when I said that. Okay? So the reason is because of this uncomfortable feeling that you have every time you see it. Emotions are a catalyst, and a catalyst is like the firing pin hitting the bullet when it relieves the gun. Okay, it causes the action. That's a catalyst. Okay, and so we have to look at, what is that emotion trying to tell us. So the best thing to do is to meditate or journal. I really enjoy like doing like my meditations, but I like to talk aloud when I do my meditations. It makes me feel, hold on a second, guys, I gotta fix this door. All right, sorry about that. Okay, so I like to talk aloud during meditations. My kid's looking like I'm crazy. But I like to talk loud because I can hear what I am saying. And when I hear what I am saying, I'm like, oh, wow, that sounds a little mean, Angelina. You shouldn't be saying things like that. And then I'm like, oh. But when I talk loud, or when you write it down, you can see what it is that you're feeling. And so that's when we start to recognize what the emotion is, okay? And now you can identify, okay, it's jealousy. Now, why am I jealous? What is it about this situation that makes me jealous? And then you can identify, okay, it's because she has XYZ in her life, or he has XYZ in his life, and I kind of want that in my life, okay? So the next step would be to analyze, what is it in your life that you have that you need to get rid of to make room for that which you want, okay? And this is a really hard step, okay? Because sometimes we get so comfortable in what we're doing and where we are and the people we're around, we don't even realize that they're lowering our vibrations. And that's the key, okay? If you haven't seen my video about vibrations, I'll link it in the video description, okay? Because it's super important for us to realize that the universe is a mirror. It will reflect back to us that which we have in our life, okay? Our vibrations. So if we are low vibrational and we are focusing on what we don't have in our life because we're jealous, we'll get more of what we don't want in our life. Does that make sense? For example, the more we're searching for love in all the wrong places, the lower vibrational people will draw in. Because we can't love any more than we love ourselves. And we can't receive or even be given more love than we give ourselves. That which we give ourselves is reflected back to us in the form of love. But if you're low vibrational and you're only getting this much love, but you want this much love, you gotta raise your vibrations to be able to receive that much love on your bandwidth. Okay? So, check out the video about vibrations. I'll link it below. Okay? Let's go back to the transmutation. Okay, so now we've analyzed what it is that we don't have in our life that we have in our life that we don't want in our life. Okay, and we start to clear it out. Just like this storm that's coming through this morning, actually this whole week, it is making way and room for the new. Okay, if you think of it as like, as of right now, you're the little seed inside of the ground that is soaking up all of the sunlight and all of the rain, which is its nutrients, in order to get strong enough to pop through the soil. Okay, that's where you are right now. This is called a liminal space. So you know what you want. Maybe you've been manifesting, like, writing in your journal, I want this, I want that. Don't forget, you actually have to increase your vibrations in order for those things to come true. Okay? So if you continuously obsess over something that you want, you're not doing yourself any good. You're not. Because now you're ruminating, and when you ruminate, you become anxious about it. And I've seen a lot of people sit there and talk about, well, if you order a package from Amazon, you don't sit there and track the package all day long every day. Hey, some people do. Some people do. And if you're trying to do that with your manifestations, that's exactly what's going to happen. You're going to wait. And I tell my daughter all the time, the longer you stare at the mountains in the distance, the longer it's going to take to get there. And you're going to miss the adventure on the side street. You never know what's down that road. Maybe there's a flea market and you can find the coolest antique chair you've ever seen in your life. Don't focus on the mountains in the distance. Make sure that when you are manifesting, you let the universe know what you want, and then you work on you. Work on you. Don't worry about whether or not it's going to come into your life. Work on you, because you will not receive that which you are not ready for. Right? The divine will help you prepare. Because if you are manifesting, for example, a new relationship in your life, but you don't quite love yourself enough, and that new love comes into your life, you could take it for granted. Or you could not heal and still not be able to receive the amount of love that you want. Make sense? If you are not ready for that which you want, you will not receive it. Okay? So going back to the jealousy thing, okay? Now you've recognized what it is in your life that is keeping you from being able to have that which you want, right? Maybe it's self-love. Maybe it's self-respect. You have to be able to respect yourself enough. For example, if you're not patient, you're not respecting yourself. Because you're doubting that you're ever going to receive that which you have the power to co-create in your life. But you don't respect yourself. So you're doubting. You're doubting yourself. Okay? When we don't respect ourselves, it's not going to come. Okay? And remember this. You have to be absolutely sure, meaning 1,000% that which you want in your life is truly meant for you. Okay? And I don't want to say you'll be tested, because I don't like when people say that we're being tested. It's not a matter of test. It's a matter of preparation. Okay? When you're in this liminal space, you have told the universe what you want, and you're in this liminal space, this is your germination period. Okay? This is the time in the cocoon. Okay? This is the time in the belly for the baby. You can't come out before you're ready. And if you continue to sit there and say, well, I'm ready, and you're probably not ready. I've been going through this for the last month and a half. Okay? This feeling of, oh, I'm totally ready for this. And then something else comes up. I'm like, wow, I am totally not ready for this. and it's because of the wonderful moonlight that illuminates in a soft and gentle silver pulse that shows us, hey, you missed a shadow. Because sometimes those shadows are teeny, teeny, tiny. And under the light of the moon is the only way to be able to see them. So, once we have come to this place of realizing what we don't need in our life and we clear it out, this is where the magic happens, my friends. Because now we can recognize exactly what jealousy looks like and clear it out of our lives before it takes root. I'm getting rained on. I'll talk to you later.